Hoops Junction. Today we're going to be talking about whether or not sports betting on basketball, specifically, if it should be legal or not. You have two sides to the whole deal. You have those for it and those against it. Now, those for it, they look at sports betting as somewhat of another way to play like fantasy sports. If you think about fantasy football, fantasy basketball, fantasy baseball, you start your league, draft your players, you put a little money in the pot, and then you reap the benefits if you win. Well, in today's sports betting world, things such as DraftKings and FanDuel, you can make hundreds and thousands of dollars in a day. And that's what people are like. They like the fact that they could invest like a few $100s, and then at the end of the week or the end of the day, they come out with couple $1,000s, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, which benefits them in the long run because it gives them more incentive to watch, more incentive to research, and it's a great tool. If you think about it, it's a great way to make money and watch something that you love. Now, those against it look at sports betting, especially on basketball, as immoral, unethical, wrong. It hurts the community. It hurts us. It hurts the children. People will be betting on the sport so much that they won't pay their bills. They won't work. They won't feed their children. Everybody just be focused on betting to the point where they won't worry about anything else. And it's really, really comical because there is an entire city based on the premise of gambling. And everybody knows it. I would say it's probably the mecca of gambling besides anywhere else in Europe or whatever. I don't know. I have never traveled to Europe. But Las Vegas, it's a city based on gambling. It's all for and about gambling. And there's nothing wrong going on out there besides things that happen everywhere else in America. There's crime everywhere in America. There's poverty everywhere in America. But that city has been able to supply people with thousands of jobs. There's a bunch of jobs. People live there. People work there. And it's just fine. So, really, the real issue when it comes to gambling has nothing to do with the morality of it. The main issue that people have that are against sports betting is this and this only. The only reason why they're against sports betting is because they cannot profit from it. See, many local governments and states and even the federal government, the reason why there were some places, especially some states, they've made things like FanDuel illegal, stuff like that, is because they can't make money from it. They cannot tax it. You see what I'm saying? Like the governments work like this. They deem what's illegal and what's legal. And if they could profit from it, and they know they could profit from it consistently, they'll make it legal as long as they could tax it, or they could find another loophole to make money from it. But once they see that there's something they cannot make money from, they will deem it illegal. One of the biggest things was prohibition, and I think it's 1920s. They made the selling of liquor illegal. So what did people start doing? They start bootlegging the liquor, start making moonshine in their tubs. Well, the government got wind of this, and what did they do? They made selling liquor legal once again. You know why they did this? Because people were making money under the table and they weren't getting their cut. See, the government, local governments, so with your state government and federal government, they're the biggest bullies when it comes to money. They need to make money on everything. They need to get their cut on everything. So for that example, people started bootlegging the liquor, and guess what? They're like, no, we're gonna make it legal again. We're just gonna tax the crap out of it, and there you have it. Now alcohol is legal. Now, could you imagine your life without alcohol? No. But that's pretty much what it is with sports betting. Sports betting is illegal because the local governments and federal government has not figured out a way to properly tax it yet. Once they figure out a way to properly tax betting on basketball, via FanDuel, DraftKings, and do it consistently. They need to do it consistently because some of these websites, they're figuring out ways to find loopholes to not, tax it. They'll say it falls under this, it falls under that, title this, title 12, whatever they're using, but whatever language that they're using, that language is getting them out of it. So that's why a lot of local states are saying, no, we don't want this sports betting. because they cannot tax it. They cannot control it. Once they figure out a way to control it, they'll be all for it. Trust me. So like marijuana, many states have already signed the petition or the congressional act to have marijuana legal in their state. Well, why did they do this? Because they figured out a way to control it, which means they could tax it, or they could tax distilleries, or they could have controlled places where only certain people could sell it, and they pay back major kickbacks to the local governments. That's all it is. So sports betting has nothing really to do with morality, immorality, because people, if they want to bet, they're gonna bet. You know, sometimes when you go to the court, you know, people bet $100 on shots. People bet $50 a game. You know, I've seen people bet $1 bills. You know, I bet you my lunch money. You know, shooting threes all day. You know what I'm saying? So it has nothing to do with morality. All has to do with taxation and a piece of the pie. If the government doesn't get a large piece of the pie, they will deem it illegal. Remember that. Always remember that. You know, like especially like in the early 80s or 70s, they had scientists test out marijuana and they figured that it wasn't that bad of a thing. But the reason why they made it illegal is just because the government couldn't make money from it. That's all it is. So those are my thoughts on sports gambling, sports betting on basketball. You know, it's really not, it really shouldn't be considered like a war. It should just be considered like who's getting a bigger piece of the pie. And right now, the fans are getting a big piece of the pie, and the local governments don't like that. So that's why a lot of places are making it illegal. But once they figure out a way to control it, those large winnings, those 20,000, I made 100,000 in DraftKings this week, all that's gonna stop. Well, this is Vlad from Hoops Junction. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hoops Junction, where hoops meets hoopla. Peace.